Most people believe the greatest civilizations were born in Europe, the Middle East, or Asia. But what if he told you that some of the most advanced, powerful, and mysterious kingdoms in human history rose and disappeared right in Africa, long before the world was ready to acknowledge them? Entire cities buried under sand, empires erased from maps, and achievements so advanced that even modern historians struggle to explain them. These are not legends. These are real civilizations that history quietly forgot. And once you see what they accomplished, you'll never look at Africa or history the same way again. When Africa is mentioned in history books, the story usually begins with colonization, as if nothing existed before that moment, as if millions of people simply appeared without knowledge, science, or governance. But that version of history is incomplete. Long before empires like Rome and Greece reached their peak, Africa was home to structured governments, international trade networks, advanced engineering, and knowledge systems that shaped the ancient world. The tragedy isn't that these kingdoms vanished, it's that they were deliberately ignored. Take the kingdom of Kush, for example. Located south of ancient Egypt, Kush was not a lesser neighbor, it was a rival. For centuries, Kushite kings controlled Egypt itself. They ruled as pharaohs, built massive pyramids, and enforced laws that stabilized the entire Nile region. Their pyramids still stand today in Sudan, outnumbering Egypt's pyramids nearly 2 to 1, yet most people don't even know they exist. Kush developed ironworking technology early, produced its own writing system, and established powerful trade routes across Africa and the Mediterranean. When Egypt declined, Kush endured, but history chose to remember only one side. Then there was Great Zimbabwe, a city made entirely of stone, constructed without mortar, precision to fit perfectly together. For a long time, European historians refused to believe Africans built it. They claimed outsiders must have done the work because the architecture was too advanced. But archaeology proved otherwise. Great Zimbabwe was the capital of a wealthy empire that controlled gold trade routes stretching as far as China. Its walls towered over the landscape, symbols of authority and engineering mastery. This wasn't a village. This was a city of power, economy, and culture. And yet, it was deliberately erased from global consciousness. Further west, the empire of Mali rose with such wealth that it changed the global economy. Mansa Musa, its most famous ruler, is considered the richest human being in history. His pilgrimage to Mecca was so extravagant that he gave away so much gold it collapsed local economies for years. But Mali wasn't just rich, it was educated. The city of Timbuktu became a global center of learning. Thousands of manuscripts were preserved in its libraries, covering mathematics, astronomy, medicine, law, and philosophy. Students traveled from across the world to study there. While Europe struggled through the Dark Ages, West Africa was preserving knowledge. And then there was the kingdom of Aksum, located in modern-day Ethiopia and Eritrea. Aksum coined its own currency, controlled Red Sea trade routes, and maintained diplomatic relations with Rome and Persia. It built towering stone obelisks that still stand today, some weighing hundreds of tons. Aksum was also one of the first kingdoms in the world to officially adopt Christianity, centuries before much of Europe. Yet Aksum is rarely mentioned outside academic circles. Its influence was global, but its memory was buried. What connects all these kingdoms isn't just power or innovation, it's the silence around them. When African civilizations didn't disappear suddenly, they slowly declined with climate change, shifting trade routes, internal conflicts, and external invasions. But when colonial narratives took over, these stories were pushed aside. The idea of an advanced pre-colonial Africa didn't fit the narrative of conquest, so history was rewritten or simply left out. Even today, archaeologists are still uncovering remnants of cities hidden beneath jungles, deserts, and savannas. Satellite images reveal ancient road networks, irrigation systems, and urban planning far more complex than previously imagined. These discoveries challenge the idea that development followed a single path centered around Europe or the Middle East. Human civilization was never linear. It was global, and Africa was always part of that story. What makes the lost kingdoms of Africa so fascinating is not just what they achieved, but how they understood the world. Many African societies balanced technology with deep spiritual and ecological awareness. They aligned architecture with celestial movements, managed resources sustainably, and governed through councils that valued collective decision-making. Progress wasn't measured only by conquest or expansion, but by harmony and continuity. And yet, because many of these kingdoms relied on oral tradition rather than written records, their histories were easier to ignore. But oral history does not mean fictional history. It means memory passed from generation to generation. It means knowledge preserved through storytelling, ritual, and culture. Today, elders still recount lineages, laws, and events that align with archaeological evidence. The past was never lost, it was just unheard by those who refused to listen. Think about how different our understanding of the world would be if these stories were taught alongside Rome, Greece, and China. How many innovations were misattributed, how many ideas were borrowed, reblended, and claimed by others. History is not just about facts, it's about power. And who gets to decide which stories survive? The lost kingdoms of Africa remind us that civilization does not belong to one race, one region, or one narrative. They prove that brilliance has always existed wherever humans have lived. These civilizations didn't need permission to be great. They were great, and they deserve to be remembered. If this is your first time hearing about Kush, Great Zimbabwe, Mali, or Aksum, you're not alone. Millions of people were never taught this history. That's why this channel exists, to uncover the stories the world forgot, and to question the narratives we were handed without examination. Because when you uncover the truth about the past, you begin to understand the present in a different way. You start to see how history shapes identity, perception, and power. And once you see it, you can't unsay it. These are not just stories of ruins and fallen empires. They are reminders that greatness does not disappear, it gets hidden. And sometimes, all it takes is curiosity to bring it back into the light. If you've made it this far, you're not just watching a video, you're part of a growing community that believes history should be complete, not convenient. If you want more stories like this, stories that challenge what you think you know and reveal what's been buried, make sure you subscribe to this channel. This is just the beginning. The past still has many secrets left, and we're going to uncover them together.